troops, Highland explorer here, and let me tell you, this time we're trading in the rugged peaks and unpredictable weather of the Scottish Highlands for something a bit gentler. Don't worry, I've still got my trusty hiking boots on, but instead of scaling Ben Nevis, I'm tackling the manicured lawns and potentially perilous paths of Saltram House. Think Downtown Abbey, but with more clotted cream and hopefully fewer withering put-downs from the Dowager Countess. Now, Saltram House, just a stone's throw from Plymouth, is one of those places that just oozes history. Built in the 1700s by a chap named John Parker. But seriously, how many John Parkers were there back then? This place has seen it all. I reckon old John made his fortune selling some ridiculously elaborate wigs they all wore back then, or maybe he cornered the market on those frilly shirts with the puffy sleeves. Who knows? Whatever his secret, the man clearly had a few quid, because he called in the big guns to give his humble abode a makeover. Enter Robert Adams, the architectural superstar of the 18th century. This wasn't your average lick of paint and a new set of curtains, mind you. Adam was like the Laurence Llewelyn Bowen of his day, but with less leopard print and a lot more gold leaf. He went to town on Saltram, designing rooms so opulent they practically scream, "Look how rich I am!" Take the saloon for instance. This place is so blinging. It's like Liberace and Louis XIV threw a party and invited all their fanciest mates. And speaking of fancy mates, they even had Joshua Reynolds, the celebrity painter of the day, knocking about doing portraits of the family. Imagine trying to get a decent selfie with that lot. They'd probably tell you to go polish the silverware or something. Over the years, the house was passed down through generations of Parkers, each adding their own touch. It's like one big, posh game of pass the parcel, except instead of unwrapping a chocolate, you get an antique chair or a priceless painting. Talk about lucky beggars. They probably had so much stuff they were tripping over Ming vases and using first editions to prop open the windows. But enough about the house. Let's escape these gilded cages and get some fresh air, shall we? The gardens here are massive, like you could get lost for days and only be found by a search party of squirrels armed with tiny compasses and miniature maps. First up, we've got the formal gardens, of perfectly clipped hedges and flower beds that look like they've been designed with a ruler and a pair of tweezers. It's the kind of place where you expect to bump into Mr. Darcy, brooding over his lost love, or maybe a gaggle of ladies gossiping over afternoon tea and cucumber sandwiches. Now, no self-respecting stately home garden is complete without a folly, and Saltram's got a cracker. It's this weird little tower perched on a hill, looking like a mini castle that's been shrunk in the wash. Apparently, it was built purely for decoration, like a giant garden gnome with delusions of grandeur. I reckon they used it for playing hide and seek, personally. Can you imagine the epic games of tag they must have had around here? You're it, in 10 minutes after I've had a cup of tea and a biscuit. Down by the river, you'll find the orangery, or as I like to call it, the giant glasshouse. Back in the day, it was used to grow exotic fruits like oranges and lemons, because apparently even rich people liked a bit of vitamin C. Today, it's full of flowers and plants, and it's so peaceful you could practically hear a butterfly sneeze. Just try not to get distracted by the reflections in the glass and walk into the wall. Not that I'd ever do that, of course. And tucked away in a quiet corner, you'll find the old chapel. It's all ivy-covered and atmospheric, like something out of a gothic novel. I half expected to find a vampire bat hanging from the rafters, or maybe a ghostly monk wandering around chanting in Latin. Sadly, no such luck. Still, it's a cracking spot for a bit of contemplation, or maybe a quick nap if you've overdone it on the scones. Just don't tell the vicar. So there you have it, folks. Saltram House and Gardens. A right royal day out, even if you're not a lord or a lady. Just try not to fall in the river or get chased by a swan, and for goodness sake, don't mention the war. Until next time, happy hiking.